With planes in the air and ships in position, President Trump called off the strike targeting radar and missile sites. It's not clear if the president stopped the attacks because he changed his mind or due to logistical and strategic reasons. All this in response to Iran's downing of a U.S. surveillance drone.
They made a very big mistake.
Iranian officials say the drone, similar to this one, was hovering in their airspace when they used surface-to-air missiles to shoot it down. But during a Pentagon briefing, the head of the U.S. Air Force Central Command said that's not true.
This was an unprovoked attack on a U.S. surveillance asset that had not violated Iranian airspace at any time during its mission. This attack is an attempt to disrupt our ability to monitor the area following recent threats to international shipping and the free flow of commerce.
Iran's ambassador to the UN tells NPR it tried to contact the drone, but, quote, since it was a spy drone, we were left with no other option. U.S. military leaders say the drone was over the Strait of Hormuz in international airspace. The shootdown follows a string of incidents in recent weeks, including attacks on 6 commercial ships in the region, Iran suspected in all of them. Word that Iranian proxies were loading missiles onto boats within range of U.S. naval assets and other threats, all in response to U.S.-led sanctions against Iran after the U.S. pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. Lawmakers are split on what the next move should be. Some urge caution, others just the opposite.
We're worried that he and the administration may bumble into a war.
The only way Iran changes its behavior is if they believe America will put options on the table that would create pain for the regime.
Iran did claim responsibility for shooting down the U.S. drone. The head of the Revolutionary Guard saying the Islamic regime doesn't want armed conflict, but it's ready for war. Meanwhile, the FAA has stopped U.S. commercial air traffic from flying over Iran because of safety concerns. That affects flights over the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. The ban is in effect until further notice. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Well, President Trump has said what he wants is talks, and talks to go back again to the negotiating table to determine what's the future of Iran's nuclear weapons program. But the supreme leader, and it's, the Revolutionary Guard says all decisions are up to him. He's already said he's never going to negotiate with Trump. So here we are in a situation where a trigger was pulled and then pulled back. One thing I know, in the Middle East, you never show weakness. And so if you're going to strike, if you're going to make that decision, then if you don't go through with it, what's the interpretation on the other side? We've seen a series of provocations. These bombings of tankers are in direct violation of international law, international trade. Then you shoot down a drone in international airspace, and if there's no retaliation, what's the Iranian regime going to say? Well, we can do this, and we can do this with impunity. Are there steps that you can do before you get into military conflict? Yes, but when you look at what Israel did when Iran shot a missile at one of their jets, what they did is they went back and bombed that missile site. Can we get into some kind of increased boycott? Can you get into a blockade of their ports, stop all of their oil shipments? Can you make their airspace a no-fly zone and cut off all commercial traffic? All of those things can happen, but we're just going to have to stand by and see. This is a hot point right now. And could we stumble into war? The answer is absolutely yes. And what would happen if we do? Specifically, what could happen to the nation of Israel?